It's time for a new podcast in the Mental Winners universe. And today, imagine that you have a passion. You have a passion for something, and you're so dedicated that you want to realize your dreams. And in your backpack, you have persistence, you have looking for quality, you have never giving up, keep fighting. My guest today has a great passion for badminton. Maybe he describes himself as a late bloomer. For me, it's a great pleasure to say welcome to Mads Christophersen, a Danish badminton player, member of the national squad in Denmark. And right now he is together with me, and you have the pleasure, dear listener, to get to know him better today. So welcome to you, Mads.
Thank you, Bjarne. It's good to be here.
I'm happy you would like to be here. And at the moment, your teammates at the National Training Center in Denmark are playing the Thomas Cup in China. And you just returned because it's late morning. You just returned from practice. You're in Copenhagen. And you're at your apartment where you live together with your fiancé in Søborg. That's in outer Greater Copenhagen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And I have invited you to the podcast here because to me, and I met you the first time when you were 14, 15 years old, maybe even younger, when you were playing doubles with Jeppe Theisen from Roskilde. And I had the pleasure of coaching Jeppe and meeting you. And my first memories of you is this hardworking boy who I want to make the most out of my talent. And until now, I had brought you to the National Training Center in Denmark, and you have reached last year the National Championships final, and you just can call yourself European team champion for the men's here in 2024. So, and you're going to share your point of view of a mental winner, and I'm looking forward to hear your badminton story. And in this podcast, we go back in time. We also go ahead in time and present in time. So let's start with the present, Mads. What are you actually busy doing in your everyday life now?
Yeah, well, of course, badminton is a big part of it. That's almost, the only thing I do. And then I have some things I try to do to relax, and it can be reading a book, or if it's good weather, I also like to go out and play some golf with some friends and make it a bit social. Because when we are in a hall the whole day or in a gym, we are often inside, and I really like to be outside if the weather is particularly good. And then golf is just perfect because you can walk, you can be social with your friends, and then you can be competitive meanwhile. And I like to be competitive in almost everything. I think you can ask my fiance about that, and she will probably also say that it's a bit annoying sometimes that I'm making everything a competition, but that's just how I grew up with my siblings and my family. So for me, that's kind of natural, and it makes sense to me to do that. And then I also started to collect some records this year. So I got a turntable in January, and that has been a dream for me to get a turntable. So I have it right here behind me. I have the turntable and some of the records I have so far. And I like to put a record on and just relax and maybe do some practical things at home or just relax. It's just nice because I love music so much, and now I can do it a little bit old school, and that's also a really, really nice thing for me.
Yeah. And what kind of music What are your
It's
favorite at the moment? I think I should say at the moment, because something that like that varies.
yeah, yeah. It changes a lot. I actually listen to a lot of different kind of music. I listen to rap with Dr. Dre and Tupac and Biggie, and then I also listen to I have it's the first record I bought. It was Harry Styles, Harry's
Mm?
House. It's a really good album actually,
Yeah,
and then I also have some older ones with the Fleetwood Mac, with the Dreams album, and ABBA's Gold Hits. And
yeah.
but at the moment, I will say that my favorite album is the Dire Straits album. Dire
And now,
Straits.
dear listener, he holds it up for me so I can see it. I have had that album. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I really enjoy that at the moment. It's almost on repeat right now.
Yeah.
I also bought it last week, so it's also new. And but I really like it, and I'm also a little bit biased because my father listened to it when
Yeah.
he was stringing me and my sister and my brother's rackets at home.
Yeah.
He was listened to a lot of Dire Straits.
Yeah. Well, that's
Uh,
nice. Yeah.
yeah.
And just for curiosity reasons, because I think I have the age of your father, or maybe a little bit older, maybe, I don't know. But how much did you pay for that record? What's the price for a new record for turntable player?
For
Dire Straits?
for the turntable
No,
or
for the album. For the album.
the album. I actually found this one in quite. It was not brand new, but so
Ah,
it's second hand. But
yeah.
it's I took it out and I looked at it, and it looked very good. And there is nothing wrong with the record, so it is almost like brand new. But I got
Yeah.
it to 50 Danish crowns,
Ah, nice. That's
and
good.
that's a really fine price
Yeah.
for such a good album.
Yeah. We send compliments to Dire Straits for still being attractive for listeners like you and me. That's great. And now you mentioned your siblings, and right now you have your sister Line playing in China. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's true.
yeah. How did you two and also your older brother Emil end up in a badminton hall? What was your childhood like regarding that?
Yeah, well, I think because our family, we started to play because my grandparents from both sides
Mhm.
was playing, and they were actually playing together before my mom and dad were together.
Okay.
So what I can like make out of that is that they kind of met because their parents played together.
Mm.
So they ended up starting to date because of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
nice.
so almost my whole family has played, and when we grew up, they still played. My mom and dad still played, and my grandparents still played,
Yeah.
uh, and my cousins also played. And we had a, but we did not start at like a real badminton practice before. I think my brother and me, we were around 8 and 7, and my
Mm.
sister was a little bit longer, maybe 5 or 6. But otherwise, we had just been playing when we were on vacation. We
Yeah.
played how many times we could hit it to each other, and it was a little bit harder because it was outside. So
Yeah.
when we were camping, there was sometimes some wind, which which was making it a little bit difficult. But we saw it as an that it just made it harder
Yeah.
to how many times you could hit it to each other. And a funny thing also is that we have like a farm in our family
Mm.
on my father's side, and we have a barn where they like drew a badminton court
Yeah.
inside one of the barns, so we could like pull out one of our machines we use at the farm,
Yeah.
and then we could play, me, my
In the
sister, and
barn.
brother, and our 3 cousins. So we played
Nice.
all the barn, but it was not that much but we did play sometimes when we had time and we could get the machines out of the barn.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice start. And what
Mm.
then? Because how many clubs? How was your childhood? And because you started playing in Dianalund, is that correct?
Yes, that's true. I
And
started in January,
and
and
to
then
our
we moved.
listeners who are not so well bewildered in the Danish geography, if
Yeah,
you know that Copenhagen is the capital, we know that, Bjarne. Thank you. Good. And then we go straight west for 60, 70, 80 kilometers, something like that.
yeah,
And then you
yeah.
hit Dianalund.
Yeah,
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah. And then after
Yes, exactly. A
Dianalund,
small town, and yeah, I went to, we went to Slagelse, and
hmm?
then we went to Skælskør,
Yeah.
and they worked together with KBK. They had the same coach, Emil Stark, at that moment,
Yes.
and because of that, they had a collaboration between the two clubs because there was not so many young players in Skælskør, and that must have been quite a lot in KBK, but I actually think that somehow there wasn't at that time, so they could
Mm.
use the collaboration a little bit
Yeah.
as well. So we were there as well, and then I went to Greve, but my sister went to Gentofte,
Yes.
and my brother he stopped in the club badminton playing
Mm.
team matches and stuff,
Yeah. Okay.
and and then I moved to Gentofte, and then me and my sister moved here 2 years ago, almost, to Skovshoved, and that's where we play now.
Okay. Yeah. And you are having a team match final coming up?
Yeah, next week, actually, in 1 week from now. Yeah,
Yes. So Skovshoved, and you are going to meet who are you up against?
Højbjerg, and I think I'm gonna play against Jakob Ho, probably,
Yes.
or maybe Karan, but I think Jakob will play.
Yeah. So is that your first team final?
Yes, it is in
Yeah.
Denmark. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't only play team matches in Denmark.
No, I also play in the Bundesliga, and
Yeah.
we were not only in the final last year, but also the last year again. And
Yeah.
we lost the first time, and then we won last year, and then this year we lost in the semifinal. But
Okay.
that's how it is sometimes. But now I have one of each, you can say.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's great. That's nice. And we're going to talk about your entrance into the National Training Center. And I said in the introduction that you maybe describe yourself as a late bloomer.
Mm.
Can you tell me about that? Because as I mentioned in the beginning, I see you as an engaged, and yeah, I have some dreams. I want to do everything to reach them.
Mm.
And please share with us, because when you were playing youth badminton, were you one of the players on the podium at the national championships at the end of the tournament, or did that first occur later in your career?
That first occurred when I was under 17, but that was also a big surprise because I didn't start in the best, rank.
Yeah, eliterækken og
I had to play in a lower rank to. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
And then I went to the best, and then I somehow I managed to play really well at the national championships for under 17 and made it to the podium.
Yeah.
Lost against Anders Antonsen, and then I actually did the same next year. I didn't had so many good results after that the first year in under 17, but somehow I managed to do the same trick the next time when I was 1 year older at the nationals, and got a bronze medal again there. But then under 19 I lost. I don't know. It was maybe in the quarterfinal the first year, and then in the first match the second year, where I thought I had best chances to go far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it I was not. I became one of the best in my age, but maybe I could still lose to some players out of top 10. So it was not like I was so much better than the players that was ranked below me. So I was maybe top 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
In youth, but I started out to be not even close to one of the best. So I had every year I tried to get in the best up where the best played, and I managed that sometimes just in the end of the season. So and I had to go down again and play
in the mesterrækken, the second lowest. Yeah. And now when you mentioned it, I actually remember that when you were under 17, you say, wow, where did he come from? That's not fair to say that, Mads, but you made it to the semifinals. Say, well, it's so good, so great. I think also because maybe that you were not one of the top players in the elite league, so it was a pleasant surprise to say, okay, you've been working hard. That's my expression. I think you do that, and then it pays off. So I think it's really well deserved. Yeah. But what then later on, and you had this collaboration with Copenhagen Badminton Club (KBK), and later on Gentofte, and you joined their academy, or how was that? The next step?
Yeah. So after when I got senior, I started. I was in Gentofte, and I was really happy about the first couple of years because Peter Gade, he took me under his wings when he still was in France, and I played with him almost every day when he was home in Denmark, every second week. So I had a lot of practice with him, and then he, after maybe 1 year or 1.5 years, he started the academy, and he wanted me to be one of the players who was there
at Peter Gade Academy. Yes,
a lot. To make it like a baseline. And he started that academy, and then I slowly got better and better, and but it was still hard for me to sometimes to agree with Peter in some ways because he really wants it to be in his way. When I looked at how Peter played on YouTube and how I felt I should play, it was not. There was a clash there. I was agreeing that what he was saying, but it was not like my weaknesses was sometimes what he was best at when he was a professional, and that was a bit clash for me because then I was really frustrated because
it was hard for you to perform at the same level as Peter, as with his strengths.
And he wanted to be that way, and then I started to maybe get one day inside the national center, and then I talked with Kenneth, and he was a bit different. He could see how you were as an individual player and how you saw your weapons and how we could make them like how you should play. And then you, of course, you should also work on your weaknesses, but he was more focusing on what you were best at and make them better. So it was like top in the world. And for me, I have always been quite aggressive when I have been playing. I didn't have the biggest smash at first, but it came slowly when I was in the youth. And I would say that when I was starting under 15 and 17, I had a pretty good attack, but I also made a lot of mistakes because my quality was not the best, but I could hit hard sometimes, and I worked hard, as you also said. So I also felt that when I got senior, that my attack was like what I was best at. It was not the defensive part of the game I was good at. It was the attacking. And then I just had these conversations with Kenneth, and it was different for me because now I had been in the academy for maybe 2 years, maybe more. Hearing like how I should been playing through Peter. And this was just so nice for me to hear that there was another way to play badminton. and that helped me to be a little bit more confident. And then I started to get more and more days into at the national center, and then I had more and more to do with Kenneth. But I was also, for like maybe 2 years, I was also not so much at the academy, maybe 1 or 2 times, and then I was 3 times at the national center, or maybe the other way around.
Yeah.
But I had like quite a long time where I didn't have a head coach, where I had to find out myself and navigate in what I should learn and what I should not learn and how I should learn it.
Yeah.
And I think it has both. There has been a good side and a bad side of that, because sometimes it was really frustrating when I didn't get any feedback, because I was a sparring player in the national center at that time.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know if they saw any future in me. So I didn't know if I was in there just to make the other guys better and better and better. And me getting any feedback from the coaches as much as the best players did.
Yeah.
Was quite hard sometimes. And I felt that, why am I not getting any feedback? Because if I get better, they will also get better. That I could have that feeling sometimes. But then I also knew that I had to take, like I have been my whole life. I knew that I could do it myself some way. I just had to find out what to focus on. And then I also got more and more curious. I started to read more books, and I got a new psychologist. That's what it is, right? Yeah, sports psychologist.
Yeah,
psychiatrist,
mental coach or psychologist, sports psychologist. Exactly. Yes, yeah.
And we just had the perfect start when we started working together. And he wanted to. I had an agreement with him that he could take some pictures and try to test me in some ways and see how it worked, and then he could use it somehow in his work besides me.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit a testing person for him. And I said, that's fine. And then we started to work together, and I found out that I was evaluating every rally I played.
Okay.
When I played, so I was not really present when I played.
Yeah.
And I had the biggest problem for me sometimes when I played at that time was that I had the feeling that I almost could do the same things as some of the other players at the national center, but they somehow just managed to take better decisions and choices all the time when we were playing. So they were playing badminton in a smarter way. And I was like, why is that? I'm evaluating so much. Why is it not like going better?
Yeah.
And then I started to work with my mental coach Anders, and we started to talk about this with being more present. And then I started to try to work on that, and I tried that for 4 or 5 weeks because it was during Corona.
Yeah.
And then I had my first tournament, and it was a Super 100, and it was the first Super 100 I played, and I made it to the final that tournament.
Nice.
And it was crazy. It was like, okay, this is exactly what I have been thinking about and tried to work against. And then it just happened, and then it just made me even more confident. That what I was trying and how I was thinking was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's not. Sometimes it can take really long sometimes before you get that result where you have been looking for. But when you get it, it's the best thing ever. It's so nice, and it's just fire to the burning passion heart you have, and it just make all the hard work worth it. Yeah.
That's nice. What a story, and also a journey or a process you've been going through. And
yes, and I'm still
you're still learning. That's good to hear that. Yeah. I just have a Ron Daniels, who is also a guest in the podcast, the English one, and I'll send a link to it, because when he gives 3 good advices to persons who want to become mentally stronger, the first one he says is be curious. And I noticed that you said that you started be more curious, and you started getting inspiration probably on YouTube, reading books, and also this journey about, because when you're a talented player, and I've also been working with the talents and the national team under 23, that when you're a late teenager, you meet many coaches. You have your club coach, then maybe you have the youth national coach, and also maybe a senior coach. And I think to many players, I talk to the players every now and then, you have to be aware of, you get so many input, and it could be very, very hard to choose. But it seems like that you have been through that process in a positive way, and you out on the other side. How did you manage to pick what works best for best for you when you get input from Peter, from Kenneth, from other coaches?
Yeah, exactly. I had at one time I had a head coach, and then I had Peter, and then I also had Scott Evans. He was assistant coach at Peter's academy, and sometimes Joshua was also there as an assistant coach. So that's already 4 coaches, and then I also had Kenneth, and sometimes there was also an assistant coach in men's singles, helping Kenneth. So it was like maybe 5 different coaches sometimes. And I was just thinking about it. I think it's really important that you think about what you're good at, and like what you feel. How can you say? Maybe you should think about what would you do if it was a close game. I know it's a bit tricky, but let's say it's 19-0. What would you do? Because now you're playing on your emotions probably, and that's what you feel best about. And for me, I know that like 9 out of 10 times I would probably just go for the maybe to take the net or to push on the serve or something like that, be quite aggressive. And for other players, they would maybe do a very good lift with good quality, see what your opponent is doing. I don't say that that's wrong, but I just feel that inside of me, I've felt it many times, that I feel that I give him the opportunity to do something instead of me taking charges. And I talk with my mental coach that I would rather try to do it myself in that situation and be okay doing a mistake in that situation. And not give it like to him easy. So, but I know that now that when you play a game, you also have to do that sometimes. But if it was 19-0, what would you do? It would be how you were feeling best about. And because if you know that, then you can also navigate a little bit better, from through the feedback you get from the different kind of coaches. And so some are also playing a little bit more like you, and then they can maybe relate in a different way that maybe Peter could, because they know how you feel. They don't have that feeling either, where you just want to lift and give the opportunity to the other player.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point.
And then there is also this technical aspect of badminton, of course. That's a huge one, and I have also been working on that, and it has been really learn by trying. So if I had to learn a new stroke or make it better, sometimes you have to reset, and that I actually think that that's a really mental. What can you say? If you can do that mentally, reset something to scratch and start over. That's sometimes what you need to do, but it's really hard, and you have to be honest with yourself when you do it. Have I tried this technique enough? Have I really tried to learn it this way? Okay, yes, I have. Okay, that's fine. it's not working, we have to find another way, and
Yeah.
maybe a new explanation,
Yeah.
and then you still kind of do the same, but you think it in another way, and then it starts to work because you started from scratch.
Yeah.
So I feel that if you have to navigate through the feedback you get from the coaches, especially technical, because that's really a lot of the time when you're working with coaches, that's
Yeah.
what you're talking about, technical strokes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then I have to say that you have to try it out sometimes, and it's not a bad thing either to ask them why is it that I have to play it like this? What is the good thing? If they can explain it, it would just make you more like sure that this is the right technique. So
Yeah.
when I'm still coaching kids, and I'm still learning some new things and also just a simple stroke as a lift. I started to slice it a little bit more than I have been doing my whole career,
Yeah.
like for a couple of months ago, because I talked with Kenneth. And he said, it's fast shuttles, you have to go a little bit under the shuttle. And I was like, you don't do that when you're lifting. But then he said, if you slice it, you can take some speed off the lift, and then you can control it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, I'll try to do that. And then he was warming me up, and we just started to practice this stroke in the warm-up before my game at the tournament in Scotland. And it was the first time I tried to do this new technique.
Yeah.
And I somehow got the feeling quite good, because I also trusted that Kenneth knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But I also felt that I could control the speed a little bit better. And then I actually won the whole tournament, but I don't know if it was because of that, but it sure helped me a lot. But then I came to practice, and then I started to talk with these kids about try to do this where you slice it a little bit and you change your grip a little bit more. And they said, yeah, but they said, the other coach said that you should do this instead. And then we get the problem we were talking about with the different kind of different feedback from the coaches. And I said, okay, but just try 20 shuttles where I throw it, and you do what I say. Just try it.
Yeah.
And I think almost all the kids I had been doing this technical lift with, they were placing the shuttle like this from both lines in the corner almost every time they tried to do it. And it was just like they were surprised themselves, but they somehow also found that feeling that I did quite fast.
Yeah. Nice.
So you have to try it, and then be honest with yourself. Have I really tried to learn this technique in this way?
Yeah.
And if you have, then you can start over, try it to find a new way to do the technique you want to learn.
And to you, dear listener, Mads just showed it was approximately 20 centimeters away from the sideline and 20 centimeters away from the back line in order to make a good lift. Thank you for that, Mads, sharing this. And also because sometimes I think it takes courage to start from the beginning again. Yeah, through 5 years, I learned this technique. I think it works pretty well. And now you challenge me. And so I like this. Give it a try. And then afterwards, you could give an evaluation saying it's no good for me or it's good for me. Yeah. That's nice. Mads, when you look back at your career, and what age do you have now?
I'm 26.
Yes, 26, and started 7-8 years when you were 7-8 years old. What do you look back on with pride? What experiences, what rich results do you look back on with pride? What are you proud about?
I'm proud about a lot of things, actually. I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
That's nice.
But it's not a thing I'm thinking about every day. So when I think about all the things I have experienced through all the years, it's just gives me a good warm feeling inside, and it has been totally worth it. And I'm still going strong, and I still get a lot of nice experiences. But wrestle wise, I would say that when I got selected for the Danish Junior Cup team from Copenhagen, and I won against the best men's singles, second best men's singles from the other countries in Europe, and I won against them. And I won every match I played in that tournament, but sadly we lost the final against the Sjælland 5-4 or something.
Yeah.
But it just showed me that the level also in Denmark was so good that even though I was not in like maybe top 8 at that time in Denmark, I was still one of the best in Europe, and that also made me really confident and made me even work even harder. And I believe more in myself after that. And then I came third place that same year in the national championship, and that just made me even more confident and give me a huge boost as well.
Yeah.
But I will say that here in the seniors, I will say that my Abu Dhabi tournament last year was when I won the Super 100.
Yeah.
That was a big achievement for me, because you never know if you're gonna win something like that. Title is not easy to win. It's a whole tournament you have to play good at, and it's not easy to do that. But I came out as a winner in that tournament, and I'm super proud of that. And I remember I called my fiance, and I was just so emotional, and I cried, and I couldn't believe that I just won a Super 100.
Yeah.
And it was just something I dreamed of, but I didn't know if that would come true, because as you said also in the start, I'm trying to get as good as I can. So it's also, I don't want to put limits on how good I can get. I want to see how good I can get, and that's the way I have been thinking all my life. So when people have said, so what do you dream about here with badminton, I always told them that I want to be as good as I can get. And that's still what I try to do. And I also think that's a good thing to have and think about when that you don't have. It's okay to have results in your mind, but if you can, you should also enjoy the process. And I think you do that when you think like I just said that I did.
Yeah. When you talk about process and results, then I'm curious to know. I think I know the answer, but how do you see yourself in your badminton journey? Is it the process that motivates you, or is it the results that counts?
It's a bit of both, because I don't think I would still be playing if I hadn't get any results at all. If I had only made it to a semifinal now and then, or maybe a final sometimes. But I also have to say that I really love to practice.
Yeah.
I didn't have the best, and I still don't. I don't see me as a pure natural badminton player, but I see myself as a practice talent.
Yeah.
I have a body which can go through a lot of pain and through a lot of practice without getting injured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knock wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
And so the process is important for me, and it's also important that you sometimes, when you don't have the result, that you look back. Okay, 3 months ago, have you improved? Or maybe 1 year ago, have you improved? Yes, I have. Okay, then this process have been worth it. But we still have some work to do before we get the result. And then sometimes the result come out of nowhere, when you didn't expect it, and then it's just a really boost, and and it just make the process even funnier. So I think it's a bit a match between those two.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can only live on results. I think that will stop someday if you don't have the process in mind.
Yeah.
But I don't think you will continue with your sport with the same passion if you don't get the results.
Makes sense. Makes so much sense. Well, Mads, I have some questions that every guest are being asked. So now I ask you one, because we talked about your journey, and I think you're a mental winner with a mental winner behavior and also mindset, and you shared this experience with your mental coach Anders that opened some new windows or gave you a new perspective. So if you should describe what recognizes a mental winner to you.
Yeah, well, I think I have been talking about some of it, but I think this, to be honest with yourself, that okay, have I tried to learn this or have I not? Like, be honest with yourself, because otherwise you can't really evaluate what you have been trying to practice.
Mm?
I think you are a mental winner if you can be honest with yourself. But I also think that you're a mental winner if you are curious and you are passionate about your sport.
Yeah.
And because if you are that, then everything comes kind of natural to you. It seems like it's just you're just playing around, and then somehow you learn the same way.
Mm?
But for me, it's just kind of natural to think like that, because when you talk to kids, you also say that they learn better if they have fun while they do it, or
Yeah.
if they find it interesting. So that's why I found out that being more curious and more playing with it. Play also. I have been playing a lot with different kind of shots because of my social media and stuff.
Yeah.
To show some trick shots and stuff. I have been playing around with the shuttle, and people have commenting that's a shot you would never do when you play it, and that's true. I would probably never do it,
Mm.
but I get a better feeling with the shuttle if I can hit it in different kind of ways.
Yeah.
Uh, and that has also learned me a lot about the shuttle and the feeling with the shuttle and stuff like that.
Mm.
So, and that was because I was playful and curious.
Yeah.
So I think you're a mental winner if you just have like it's not if you only have this, then you're a mental winner. I think you can have a lot of the spectrum for me is quite big.
Yeah.
So you can be more over here where you are focusing really you're a mental winner if you're focusing on your everyday life. You try to optimize everything you can. Then I also think you're a mental winner
Yeah.
because you really try to go for details and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you're also a mental winner if you are more playful and just sees what comes around, goes around kind of thing, and
Mm.
can be relaxed in that. But
Yeah.
I think that you have to find your own way because no one is the same. So you would probably have another way in learning than I would.
Yeah.
So I think to go your own way, discover your own journey, then you're a mental winner for me as well.
That's really good. That's wise. And I agree with you now. I've interviewed more than 200 people and asked the same question. What is a mental winner? And it's just like you describe it. Well, it depends and it varies. And what have I been taught in my childhood, and what comes from through my genes from my parents, and what am I aiming for? And also this question about being successful, because sometimes when people talk about superstars that could be in badminton, you are becoming one of the superstars here within the next year and taking a good step
Mm.
into that. Or Messi, Ronaldo, or whoever we talk about, then we see, oh, they're so mental strong. Yeah, maybe because they've been focusing on being a good football player. And then maybe their house look like shit, forgive me saying that, because they
Yeah, yeah.
focus on this. And
Mm.
also, as I say here on my webpage, well, being a mental winner, it's not a question about being Superman, but you have some skills that gives you success in certain situations. So I think you describe it so good. What about a mental loser? We don't use that expression, but when you get a medal, there's a front page. Wow, it's looked really good, but also a backside or a front side and a backside. A person who is not mental strong, what describes this person, or what behavior has this person, or how is he or she thinking?
Well, the easiest way would be to say the opposite of what I just said, but I also said that you have that is different from person to person, so that would be really a messy answer. But it's a really good question, and it's not something I have thought about a lot, actually. But right now, I would say that if you're a mental loser, for me would be when things get tough, that they just they don't put in the work. Sometimes you have to put in the work, and there is no way around that. You just have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And it's not falling down in your lap. You have to work for it. You have to find out yourself. Kenneth says so many times that he can say so many things to you, but in the end, it's yourself, who should do the things that he's telling you.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to yourself, actually. You can get some inspiration and some feedback and some advices from your coaches, but they don't sit on the assault bike and do the assault bike for you.
No.
They don't tell you to go down and do the footwork for 10 or 15 minutes by yourself.
Yeah.
It's something you have to have yourself. So I think a mental loser for me is one who's just waiting for it to happen. It's not going to happen if you're waiting. If it happens, you're really lucky.
Yeah.
And for me, then you somehow you have also been doing the work you should have been doing.
If it happens,
because otherwise it would not happen.
Yeah.
So for me, a mental loser is one who's waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. Do you play Lotto?
No.
No,
not yet.
I just got that. Not yet. But what you just said there, sometimes, what are the chances that I'm winning the big prize in a lottery or Lotto? And I'm not saying, if you are listening out there and you play Lotto, I'm not saying that you're a mental loser. It just makes me think that because every week there's somebody winning the big
That's
prize.
That's a fun way to think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well,
we have a saying in Denmark, held i spil, held i kærlighed, og translated into English, it would be luck in a relationship or luck in love, lose in hazard, something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm pretty happy with my fiance and lucky with her. So I'm afraid to play. I think I have the.
You don't want it to change. Yeah. That's good. Det var afslutningen på første del af samtalen med Mads Christophersen. Glæder dig til anden episode, hvor at Mads han deler sine mentale forberedelser, og han har nogle 4 P'er, og han har nogle bogstavskombinationer, som hjælper ham til at kunne præstere sit allerbedste, og også hvis han møder modgang. Og så giver han 3 gode tips til dig, der gerne vil være mentalt stærkere. Vi høres ved. Denne uges episode af Mental Vinder er blevet til i samarbejde med min samarbejdspartner Yonex og Yonex Scandinavia. Du kan finde Yonex Scandinavia på Facebook eller Instagram og følge med i livet hos deres atleter, som også, ligesom jeg, foretrækker at bruge Yonex' rekvisitter til at optimere deres præstation i deres catcher-sport.